So welcome to Conversations with Esther tonight. Apologies for that. I request that we all mute as we kick off with a word of prayer. Let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you for this session. We commit it to you. We pray that as we share ideas and compare notes, Lord, that you will speak to us and lead us and guide us. We thank you for those that are in the room and those that are yet to join, and those that will watch later, that this will be a blessing to them. We pray for the speaker, that you give him the words to speak in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. So allow me to just, for those that are in the room for the first time, I'd like to introduce Conversations with Esther. I think you can see this. So Conversations with Esther is an impact-driven professional platform that informs, educates, and rebuilds mindsets. Our work is to rebuild your mindset, is to change the way you think, and to also share ideas. We ignite ethical and authentic leadership, best practice within industries while promoting healthy workplace relationships. We equip the employee with relevant workplace skills while supporting employers to attract, develop, motivate, and retain talent. Now, guided by our three values, integrity, excellence, and impact, Conversations with Esther envisions a world transformed by candid conversations, respectable relationships, and intentional leadership. Now, 2024, our theme has been prioritizing holistic wellness. We thank God we are almost halfway the year. We have handled physical wellness, mental, we have handled social and financial. We are now on the spiritual wellness pillar. So looking at this, January, we did the physical. So there are those that are in the group, definitely, that do their 5 kms or more. Per day. Mental health, we also make sure we do something to do with your mental wellness on a daily basis, which means resting, reading a book, or doing something that helps you relax mentally. We are cautious now. We've been trained and equipped on our financial wellness. We did the social wellness as well, our hobbies and many other things. And we are now on the spiritual wellness pillar, which goes between 9th of May to 8th of June. Now, on the right side, you see what are the benefits of a holistic wellness. We are training you to live a life of holistic wellness, that every day you're able to take care of your physical, mental, financial, social, spiritual, environmental, intellectual in one day. Ask yourself a question at the end of the day. What have I done for my physical wellness today? Did I take a walk? Did I walk around? Did I do any exercise? What kind of a diet did I take? What did I do for my mental, my financial? Am I spending my money? Am I budgeting? Am I saving? Am I investing? Your social wellness, what are my hobbies and what am I doing? And here we are with the spiritual as we go on. So these are our social media handles, Conversations with Esther Katiba on YouTube. We have very many videos that you can watch, videos that you can watch as an individual, videos that you can watch as teams in the workplace, videos that you can watch as family. Our content is very safe for you and your family and the workplace as well. So subscribe to our YouTube and keep watching and learning. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Esther Katiba, Instagram, Conversations with Esther, and you can drop me an email at info@conversationswithesther.org. Kindly, let's mute, kindly. So this is our session today, a very interesting session, the relationship between spirituality and mental health. And I know there's a lot of conversations going around. Now, today we have the right man in the room. Reverend Julius Menza is a manager counseling services with the National Police Service Commission. National Police Service Commission. Now, look at what is on the right side. What is the relationship between my mental health and my spiritual wellness? There is an intersection between mental health and spirituality that we cannot afford to ignore. Spirituality acts as a source of solace, and support in times of sickness, bereavement, crisis, unrest, or personal challenges. Sorry for that. Unrest, or let me just go back. Spirituality acts as a source of solace and support in times of sickness, bereavement, crisis, unrest, or personal challenges. It helps to reinforce inner peace as well as provide a sense of connection to a power greater than ourselves. So we have Bwana Menza in the room. Bwana Menza, I'll stop sharing because that's the last slide that we have so that we can have him come. Bwana Menza is a very good friend of mine, certified counselor, National Police Service Commission. I know he will tell us more about the services that the National Police Service Commission offers. Most people will be amazed that you can get counseling with National Police Service Commission. But for now, I want to invite him to take us through this session. I know we have very many questions around this. Very many questions. Mr. Menza, I'm doing a mental health coach course, and some of the things we handle in that session is about, let me just get to mute this. Yeah, is about how the church handles mental health cases. Because I know there's a very big difference. Sometimes we are not, I'm in church as well, and I appreciate that we have a reverend and a counselor in the room. But sometimes it's important to differentiate what is spiritual and what is an illness. So I'll let you take over this session, then we can have the conversations later. Karibu sana Bwana Menza.
Asante, thank you so much, Pastor Esther. I'm really privileged to have this opportunity to team up with conversations with Esther in order to promote mental health. It's an area that is very important, and it has found relevance, especially in today's world. I want to really appreciate Pastor Esther. Pastor Esther wears many hats, so but allow me to address her as Pastor. It's very important that we consider mental health because it is key to our overall well-being. As a mental health practitioner, I apply my trade at the National Police Service Commission. And at the National Police Service Commission, we have a section that does counseling. It's not a very old entity. It's about 3 or so years old now. Especially that one in the commission, because we used to have one under the service. But as the employer of the police officers, the commission decided to come up with a department that does counseling to police officers. And as we do that, we extend our services to the families of police officers. And definitely as a community social responsibility, we extend the same to the public. There, through conversations with Esther, I remember last year we had a project or a program which we did at Children's Park, and we managed to sensitize as well as support a number of members of the public with counseling and psychosocial support. So this network or networking with Conversations with Esther has really been instrumental in helping us actually to reach out also to the community. That be said, I want to go straight to our topic for today, and our topic, as indicated, is the relationship between my personal, or rather my mental health, and my spiritual health. I want to indicate that the World Health Organization defines health as a state of complete physical and mental, as well as social well-being, and not necessarily the absence of disease or infirmity. This is a definition that is well known. It is open there. But I wanted to mention this to lay ground for our topic today. The key dimensions or dimensions of health, as we know, we have physical health, the mental health, the social, emotional, as well as the spiritual. Other approaches may put also vocational and such, but I've taken this approach where I've considered that we have 5 main domains of our health. The physical domain relates to the bodily aspects of our health, where we have the physical aspects of our health, which affect other dimensions of health, like when one is diagnosed with a life-threatening condition, they may be affected emotionally and even get into depression. So that's one way our physical health generally affects our overall health. The mental bit of our health refers to cognitions or the cognitive aspect of health, and basically it's a function of the brain. It involves thought processes such as problem solving. On the emotional aspect of our health, this refers to a person's mood and is influenced by one's hormones. It is the ability to express feelings adequately, control those feelings, and maintain a realistic perspective of situations. Emotional health affects other dimensions of health, like if a person is emotionally healthy, they will be more confident. They are thought of to be more confident. They can settle easily and make friends also easily. In terms of social health, this is the ability to build meaningful relationships. It's about making and maintaining socially acceptable relationships or relationship standards. It affects other dimensions of health, like when one feels isolated and rejected, it may affect their self-esteem and can lead to depression, even suicide. Spiritual health, that's the area that we'll delve deeper into. It refers to our sense of overall purpose and meaning in life. And in most cases, people find meaning in belief system, or what we refer to as basically faith. And in general, a person who finds purpose in life is said to be healthier than those without it. Spirituality helps to define our life's goals. Spiritual health, therefore, affects other dimensions of health. For example, when people meet regularly for spiritual activities, it improves one's health because of the fact that they're able to connect with them or connect with others. And in the process of connecting with others, that aspect of feeling connected, that connectedness, actually helps this person in all other dimensions of their health. Now, I'll just mention a bit about spirituality and counseling, because as professionals in the mental health or the helping field, that is counselors, social workers, we have also chaplains, we are expected to take a holistic view of our clients. We are to consider and even assess the psychological, biological, the social, as well as the spiritual aspects of our clients. Now, spirituality can support positive changes in our clients. A person's spiritual beliefs and the faith community can be a source of strength. And we must acknowledge that spirituality can create a sense of belongingness and connections, as I mentioned earlier. The fact that it connects one to a support system. So professional helpers are encouraged actually to ensure that they respect the spiritual aspects or spiritual views of their clients. The belief system of their clients can help actually to establish even appropriate intervention plans through evaluation of their evaluation and involvement of their value systems. And there are cases too where religion can also be a reason why a client may seek counseling or psychosocial support. For example, there are cases where a client may feel their conflict or they have conflict with religious or of religious values, and they need to approach a helper. So this is very important for the helpers to consider. Why is the client coming? And then when you are doing your assessment, consider also their spiritual values. Nowadays, it is best practice to consider like what we call a biopsychosocial and spiritual model, because it is holistic. We consider all the aspects of our client. So why is the spiritual, or rather, why spiritual health matters? Spiritual wellness is the ability to connect to one's inner and outer worlds in order to support one's values and the purpose. So let me just hint a little bit about signs that someone is spiritually healthy. We are talking about health versus spiritual health vis-a-vis the mental or overall health, so to speak. Such people have developed a purpose in life. They pursue life's goals. And they are okay spending some time alone, for example, doing reflection. They take time to reflect on receiving, rather, on the meaning of events in life. They have a sense, a clear sense of what is wrong and what is right, and will act accordingly. They can explain why they believe what they believe. They care and act for the welfare of others. And they are compassionate and forgiving. These are just a few hints about someone who is spiritually healthy. Now, I'm mentioning this because just as we exercise so that our physical health, we exercise, we go to condition our bodies in the gyms or in the fields. We want to condition our bodies to be physically healthy. Even our spiritual health matters a lot. Instances where people ignore their spiritual health. Eventually, it has very serious repercussions, because once it's ignored, it's not nurtured in the right way. It can lead to cases, as we have easily witnessed previously. We have had cases of people who have been, made to fast to death And it's not a new phenomenon. It has happened before. There are many, many instances where people have fasted to death. And in most instances, it's because of not taking a proper, approaching it from the healthy aspect and going overboard. And anything can go wrong, even physical health, something can go wrong. If you don't take care of your physical health, things can go wrong. If you don't take care of your mental health, something can go wrong. So we have to take care of all these dimensions of our health so that we can be overall healthy. So the importance of his spirituality in mental health is widely recognized in many professionals, by many professionals rather, because it forms a core and very important and relevant part of our overall health. Now, when we talk about spirituality, it includes the way people fulfill what they hold as the purpose of their lives. Why find meaning? Why am I living? Why am I there? Such kind of questions. They may not be answered directly by looking at your physical health, but our spiritual aspect gives the meaning to such kind of questions. So in the search for meaning and a sense of connection or connectedness with others and as well as the universe, we turn to spirituality. So it is a universal, but at the same time, it is also guided by personal, and it is unique to each person. So we have a universal spirituality. Sometimes we say when it is now made systematic, when we build systems and structures, we call it religion. But where even within the religious circles, we still have some diversity of opinions over issues or over matters. So it is still unique sometimes to the person. It is a sacred realm of the human experience that produces what we call love, patience, tolerance, compassion, hope, collegiality, name it. Now, as I mentioned, religion and spirituality go hand in hand, but religion is now the institutionalized spirituality. What I believe and what somebody believes, then we come together, and that if we formalize it, it becomes a religion. So let me touch about spiritual health vis-a-vis now the mental health by saying that there are two dimensions, or rather two domains of mental health. One is absence of mental illness, and two, the presence of well-adjusted individual. Now, such a person who is well-adjusted, the absence of disease, is someone who takes responsibility. This is someone who easily adjusts. They can tolerate frustration. They accept uncertainty. They participate in activities of social interest, and they take reasonable risks. They are self-controlled, and they nurture harmonious relationship. Those with poor spiritual health, in most cases, find themselves, it interferes, actually, let me say, poor spiritual health interferes with interpersonal relationships, which contribute to psychological disturbances. And psychological symptoms can have a spiritual content. For example, if somebody lacks interest in religious activities, you don't feel like going to church or you don't attend the mosque, that could be a symptom of depression. But again, too much distorted religious practices can also be a sign of a disorder. For example, schizophreniform disorders. Let me say or indicate, how do people take care of their spiritual health? One key aspect of taking care of your spiritual health is by being a member of a religious institution. This helps you to connect with a faith community. Being a member of that religious institution helps you to connect with others. So people who regularly attend church, for example, it has been observed that they are usually happier, they are much healthier, and they are socially connected. They have a healthy lifestyle. This is according to research. Then again, you can take time to meditate, to pray. That's one way of maintaining a healthy spiritual life. Then you can also volunteer to help others. You can reach out to others in the community, support them. And in that way is one way of actually helping or a way of supporting your spiritual health. Look also for what is good in yourself and others. This involves personal reflection and also venturing out to see and support other people by seeing what is good in them. You can also reach out to others for support, other people who you trust, especially in your faith circles, people who can encourage you, people who can support you in your spiritual endeavors. In that way, you will be taking care of your spiritual dimension of your life. So I've laid this as a basis for our discussion today. So I'm open. I've taken a few minutes, but I wanted at least to have a discussion with us in this area. There has been many cases, for example, of reported where people even commit suicide. Now we should be able to differentiate between mental disorders and spirituality. Some cases that are reported border on disorders. If the leader, for example, is a psychopath, a spiritual leader who is a narcissistic, they can easily lure people to do things that are not helpful to them. And that is why we are saying we have to be careful to nurture a healthy spiritual domain within ourselves. Let us take care of ourselves. You know, self-care is very important. And self-care does not mean just the physical. You can go to the gym, or you can be doing walks or be sprinting, whichever. And go for occasional, assessments, physical assessments. That's one area you are taking care of. But how are you taking care of your spiritual life? Because your spiritual life will definitely affect the other areas of your life. If you are associating with a psychopath as a religious leader, then chances are they may influence you in the wrong way as far as your spiritual health is concerned. So we have to really be careful, do an assessment, assess the kind of religious activity that you are into to avoid a situation where you get what is commonly called brainwashing, because some religious institutions have a way of pushing people that far, and at the end of it, they find themselves either committing heinous acts such as the suicides we have heard or we have seen. So I want to pause there and let others come up with we interrogate this topic together, can come up with maybe questions, or if you have a comment to make, you are welcome.
Well, thank you, Bonamenza. And I'm seeing some conversation here. I think I'll go through it so that we can. Well, thanks for the great presentation. Where does deliverance come in, Bonamenza?
Where does deliverance come in? Okay. Deliverance looks like a term used in the religious circles, where people talk about, or being delivered from sin, or being delivered from torments of what I would call the devil. So it's a religious kind of mantra, it is said in the religious circles. So it is more of religious than on the psycho-spiritual side. But what I can say is it actually depends on, I would say it depends on the religious affiliation that one has. There are some religions that do believe in deliverance, or some churches believe in deliverance, others don't. Others believe deliverance on earth, others believe it will happen in the other world. So it's a whole scope, or a very wide field, and maybe it's not something that psychologically it has been. I have not seen one research that talks about deliverance vis-a-vis the psychological aspect or approach that we could give this area. But it's open maybe to discussion. Somebody who would wish maybe to interject there, but I think it is more of a religious cliche, People talk about deliverance in some churches or such kind of.
Good. I see Anne saying believing in a higher power gives one backup in terms of hope when dealing with challenging times. This hope is the anchor to the soul and helps us reduce stress, anxiety, and depression, among others. This belief is useful, especially in strengthening our resolve to change, especially when breaking addictive habits. This is all contributed to great mental health. Margaret says, Reverend, this is seriously good. Juliet,
let me just react
Okay, to Anne. That's fine. That's fine.
By saying, indeed, it's a very good observation, because that's why we have even serenity prayer in the treatment for addicts, or said by Alcoholics Anonymous groups, because we believe, or there's that belief in a higher power which can help to resolve issues, or support us actually to resolve issues as we experience them in life. So it's important, it's a very important aspect of our lives, because as you mentioned, the reduction of stress, anxiety, depression, among many other issues that sometimes we experience that are negative in life. Thank you so much.
So before I give it to Margaret to comment, Juliet is asking, how can we help loved ones who have been brainwashed? And I think I sent to you something, Bonamenza.
Yes.
Where someone sent to me a message saying, Esther, I hope you'll address fanaticism. I find this a mental issue, the shakaholas, brainwashing, hope you address this. She also said, I have a friend who believes it's only her and the followers of a certain cult who will go to heaven. She no longer talks to that person because of those differences. Anyway, I think just handle the brainwashing part of it.
Okay. Okay. The issue of brainwashing is a serious, actually it's a very serious issue. We have many examples, as I mentioned, for example, the Shakahola you have pointed out here in the question. It should be approached from many angles because it can lead to very serious and devastating effects as happened. And you have mentioned the Shakahola, because brainwashing has that aspect. At first, when people have some existential problems, for example, and they need solutions, and they come to a place where they feel like this is a place of hope. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, sometimes we have leadership that is having disorders. Could be a psychopath, could be a narcissist, or any of those disorders, even other personality disorders you can mention. Such kind of people can be very detrimental to the society. Some of them, for example, can claim to be a god and they want people to worship them. And because of the power they wield, they can mislead, allow me to use that word, people, and the eventualities that these people who have been brainwashed into believing such kind of fallacy that their leader is a god will go ahead and do whatever their leader says or tells them to do. So it needs to be approached from various angles. It has a legal aspect. At the same time, as mental health practitioners, when we see such, especially from relatives or with relatives, we need to find ways of supporting them. We need, for example, to challenge their belief, their belief systems, because if it is not building their lives, it is something that is taking place in the adverse, it is adversely affecting them, then eventually it can cause a catastrophe. And we can respect and support people's beliefs if they are going to build them up rather than destroy them. So if it's our neighbors or people who live in the vicinity and we have started seeing some strange happenings, we can involve other third parties. We can also involve even government security agents, because in that way, the necessary measures can be taken. If there are people who are close to us, like friends, we can find a way of supporting them by asking them, for example, if they are willing to go to therapy. Unfortunately, in most cases, they may not easily go for therapy, but still, we can help them, support them to see that, to challenge their beliefs or to challenge the values that they hold in esteem if they are not working well for them. That's what I can say for now.
Okay, Margaret, wanted to comment? You can unmute.
Sorry?
Now, Margaret
Yeah.
had asked if she can comment. I'm giving her the
Okay.
opportunity to. She can unmute.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you, Reverend. That has been a very nice presentation. And I want to say thank you so much. Secondly, I want to say good evening, everyone. I am speaking from Kisii. I think I captured this presentation. I had a similar webinar this evening, but I opted to join this one because of the issues of spirituality and mental health. So I think I'm very glad for what I have learned. Secondly, I want to give this input. This is actually empowering us, given that our practice is very involving. I am a counselor psychologist with a background in nursing, and this is what we do daily. And we've really been met up with a lot of ethical dilemmas, especially when we are offering counseling. I know from our background, we have the spiritual counselors or psychologists, we have secular counselors or psychologists. And for sure, when we are faced with a client who is in need of counseling, then I want to trust that the first important thing we need to take into account is the direction of this, the direction of the client. Is the client in need of spiritual counseling? Is the client in need of secular counseling? So that we do not cross over someone's boundaries and therefore hurting or damaging the client more. I know both perspectives are very important as a counselor, and we really need to get prepared because you will not tell by which client you will be faced with. It could be, for example, I just remembered a case where I had a learner who was in need of counseling. And the first thing, you know, he gave me a direction and told me that when I think I asked him what he believed in after creating a relationship, what he believed in. Then he told me that I am an atheist. I do not believe in God. I am just a pure atheist. Why am I saying this? Many a times, especially when someone has lost a very important person, be it a relative or a child or a dear friend, there are mistakes that come over. We are human. I have witnessed it. I have heard it, and I have seen it. You know, that survivor, whether a widow or a widower, being pushed not to cry, literally not to roll down the tears, because if he or she is a Christian and believes that it should just, or she should just be tough and never cry, you know, kutoa machozi. And someone is just held physically and told, kindly don't cry, don't cry. You're a believer. You are a daughter of God. God will give you another one. For example, someone has just lost a pregnancy, has just lost a baby at birth, and someone is just saying, God will give you another one. And for sure, we will never replace someone who has gone. We can't replace that lost baby. We cannot replace that husband. We cannot replace that child. So I think just out of ignorance, we speak what is hurting than helping this person to heal. So what am I really saying? I am saying this, that we need to be very sensitive and respect the spiritual space of our clients. Some of us have gone as far as saying, let us pray before we start the session. As the client said, she or he is a believer in Jesus Christ, and Jesus is his personal savior. You know, mwingine unafunga macho na anasema, there is no meaning. You know, to me, Christianity has no meaning, or spirituality is not in me. So you will do a prayer, and that client will not close down the eyes and will not participate, and will give you feedback that the prayer was meant for you. For me, it is not important, because I have gone through all this and I have never seen God helping me. Where has he been? Especially issues like when massive accidents occur. Someone just becomes mad and says, do not tell me that I have lost my family. Where is God? Where was God? Why didn't he wait for my people to cross over first? So spirituality is good. I'm not rebuking it, but what I'm just saying, that being sensitive, that the aspect, as Reverend said, that the aspects of spirituality actually should be respected, and it is individualistic. If I meet a client and the client guides me and tells me, counselor, just pray before we start, then I'm free. And secondly, because I am aware that there is secular counseling and there is spiritual counseling, then I need to be guided by my client, who will tell me his or her preference. Do we do spiritual counseling or do we do secular counseling? And that is the direction. Some clients will never forget, because they are also very sensitive, and they mark our words. They mark the way we speak, what we speak, how we speak, and what we tell them becomes very damaging, and they will never forget. So talking about spirituality in counseling it is perfect, but have we been guided by the client? Is the client participating and appreciating? Because even when I ask the client, what is her faith? What is his faith? He'll just tell me, I am a Christian or I'm a Muslim. So do you believe in prayer? Yes, of course, you can pray. So you see, that one, I will not get embarrassed. I am not stuck. I'll be excited that actually then when I apply the principles of Christianity within my session, then I'm sure that the client will be helped. So I just concur with our Reverend that spirituality is a very sensitive area. Yes, we can apply it, but the client should give us the guiding principles. What does this person prefer? And if the client says, I just want I want a secular counseling, that is the direction we will take. I will not do anything. Some say, I have come for a session, and actually you're preaching to me. You're making reference to the Bible. And where was that, God? They have asked. I am only purely saying what I have been confronted. Not that yes. Hello?
No, sorry.
Yes.
Proceed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we fully concur with you, Madam Councillor. It's very important to respect the values of our clients. Of course, as helpers in the field, we have our own value. We are not minus our values, but what does the client need? You know, that should guide us when we are doing therapy or we are supporting our clients. So if this client comes, I've had occasions when a client comes and say, let us pray. Of course, you allow them to do the prayer, or if they ask me to pray, I'll tell them, briefly how I'm going to pray, or even ask them, what do you want us to pray for? So that we are on the same slate. I'm not praying for things that they didn't want to be prayed for. Yeah. So it's good actually to establish so that you work together. And in most cases, it's good to have prayer or to invoke prayer in the process of therapy when you have established sound rapport. You know, you are very sure of your client, and your client is very sure about. There is no doubt about anything. You know the direction. You have established your goals. So when you go in that direction of prayer, there is no issue about those prayers, because sometimes it can be an issue when we invoke prayer, just the first instance, when they have not established rapport with us well. To some extent, it may look like somebody is hijacking the whole process instead of allowing your client to flow, to move from one level to another with you, so that you establish the needs and then you address the needs. Because if what brought your client to the session is the prayer, then so be it. But in most cases, there could be a number of other issues that they have brought before. So that prayer is just a medium to address the needs that they have. Can we give them space to be what they want to be on a positive note within the counseling or psychotherapy rooms?
So thank you for that. I see Anne says, I believe deliverance is biblical for the Christians in the house, but one has to have full information on what the Bible says about it to avoid being lured and brainwashed. That's her take. I see Esther also says, what would you say about spiritual exorcism for persons with mental conditions? And looks like Anne has responded there, saying, physically, when sick, we get a doctor's diagnosis, get prescriptions, and take medication and still pray. For mental conditions, I believe proper diagnosis and treatment needs to be done and followed. Alongside that, prayers are welcome. Belief in a higher power is welcome. Spiritual exorcism as a treatment of mental conditions for me is a no-no. Maybe you can comment on that, Baramenza.
Yeah. I like the response. It's well articulated. When someone goes to the doctor, they expect a diagnosis and the prescription to follow, and the medication also given to be adhered to, and the prayer. But remember, as we said, it's good to have a holistic view of our client. At the onset of, let me say, psychiatry, the helping professions, that is psychiatry and counseling, this was an area that was neglected. But you realize the DSM-5 has a place for spirituality. So it cannot be neglected per se, as you indicate. If exorcising demons, or whatever they call it, will support our client, why not do it? Because it depends on, all depends on the patient and how they can be supported on a positive note, so that they feel something has been addressed or their need has been addressed. So there are some instances you have patients who go for the scientific medication, the bio, addressing the biological, that is the physical. But after that, they still go to waganga. And the exorcism is not only by the so-called waganga, but it happens also in churches. It happens also in the religious circles. What I'm saying is, it is what works and works best for the client. If this client believes that by touching a certain artifact or labyrinth, you know, they'll get healed. Maybe they will touch a certain artifact in church, and you know it is allowed, generally allowed within those religious circles. Then why not allow it to happen? So it is us to flow with our clients, but at the same time, we find out whether that is working to the best. Fasting, for example, if somebody comes and they believe that the ailment that they have or the issue that they have brought in counseling, one of the ways they are going to address it is through fasting. And fasting with moderation is not the one we hear about people fasting to death. Why not allow them? Because they may feel that we are, you know, we are subjecting them to, you know, we kind of either neglecting their religious values, or we are kind of judging. And we know we are not supposed to be judgmental. So let's allow our client to be, but as I said, on a positive note. Is what they are doing supporting them? If they believe carrying a chicken and going to a religious place, or maybe going to a river, and when they come back, they feel they are okay. So why don't we allow them to be until the time that they know, they come to the understanding that that is not helpful? Why not support them to do what is within their reach on a positive note?
Wow. I think this topic can go on and on. Bwana Menza. And
Yes.
I think, and I said, I'm doing a course on mental health coaching, and one of our trainers really touched on the church. I am at the center of the church, but I say it again, that the spiritual leaders would need to know when a case is medical and another case is spiritual. I think just drawing that line so that we are also not pushing people into prayer for 6 months and they're getting worse when they should actually have been in the hospital. So that being educated to know that this is more medical and this is spiritual. So that wisdom and that understanding needs to be there. But thank you. Anne, you would want to say something? I know Anne, a friend of mine. Anne, would you want to say something before we close? It's 8:05. Or anyone else that has something to say before we close?
Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Esther, to comment and weigh in on that. You've had a very good facilitation by Reverend Julius Menza. And I agree with everything said, but maybe one thing I would just say and reiterate, because he said it, I'll just repeat, that balance is everything. Balance, balance, balance. Because when we lose balance on one side, we become fanatic on the other side. So if we want to stay healthy mentally, we have to take care of our spiritual aspects. And if we still also want to be okay mentally, spiritually, we have to mind what it is that we are engaging with our minds. That is mental health. So the two are intertwined. Somehow all of us believe in a higher power. All of us, whatever that higher power is to us. And that higher power is our inspiration. So we need to be able to cultivate that proper relationship with that higher power for us to be mentally okay and mentally stable, and the other way around, because the two, that is spiritual and mental, you really cannot pull out one from the other. Because even though you are to run away from, let's say, Christianity and Islam and all the other religions that were brought to us by this the missionaries who came, we had the African religious traditions. They believed in something. That's what I'm trying to say. So we need to strike a balance. Know when do we seek those maybe interventions that are spiritual, and when do we get into the science, and when do we do a combination of the two, just like you said. And I would say, let's allow people to be who they are and not impose our values and our belief systems on them. But when we see somebody having those distortions, we can help them with a lot of care, with a lot of humility, with a lot of love, to be able to see where it is they are going wrong. Even if we have to practice tough love, separate them from those places and events that have maybe brainwashed them and have derailed them from following the right path, and then help them gradually and with a lot of patience, again, to discover themselves, again, without imposing our values on them, but helping them discover who they are and embrace it. Thank you.
Sorry. I see James asking, is it possible to share the recording? Thank you. James, we will upload this on our YouTube, Conversations with Esther Katiba, in the next maybe 20 minutes. So feel free to go and pick it from there and watch it, and others. Martha has something to say, and I see we are way past our time.
Okay,
Yes,
just
Martha.
a very short one. How can you describe tough love?
I love that. Anne.
I'm giving an example. I'm looking for a very appropriate example. Tough love is where you give somebody support and challenge. You give them challenge where, let me give an example. If you're teaching somebody who has not been able to walk, or somebody who has been bedridden, let me give that physical example. Maybe we can pull it and apply it maybe mentally or spiritually, wherever else. Somebody has been bedridden and they have been going through physiotherapy. It's very uncomfortable and they have to learn to walk. If you want them to walk, then, and they have to be on a walker maybe, you give them support for the first few steps. Of course, because we love them, we don't want them to feel pain. We would want them not to feel the pain, and sometimes we'd want to carry them on our shoulders, on our backs throughout. But if you really want this person to walk, you have to allow them to feel the pain of walking until they reach a place where their muscles agree with what should be happening, and they reach a point where they walk. That to me is tough love, where you're like, I know you're feeling the pain, but you have got to get out of that bed and walk. So please endure the pain. Let me give you the support until at some point when you can be able to walk alone. To me, that is tough love.
Great. Thank you. As we close, Bonamenza, and I've shared the link for our YouTube. So
Thank you.
Follow. But Bonamenza, maybe as you close, tell us how we can reach you and the National Police Service Commission. Yes, so that we can close.
Okay, in the National Police Service Commission, we have a toll-free line that is 0800 721 070. That's the number that you can engage us with. It's toll-free, so when you call, you'll get a counselor who will support, a counselor or a social worker who will be able to support you. But what I want to say in passing as we wind up, I fully agree with all the sentiments and comments we have expressed. There's one thing that I just felt like I should comment about. Our traditional systems had a way of supporting people. It might not be the systems that we currently use, with the institutionalized support systems today, like, the formal counseling or psychosocial support that we have. But those support systems have been there, especially, let me say, for example, when somebody went through a calamity, like maybe fire has raced down their building, or they have lost a loved one. And I want to go straight and say, like, words like pole, you know, they had meaning, and even today they have meaning. And I'm saying this because sometimes I hear comments of people who say, for example, like saying pole to somebody, to some people, rather to our clients, for example, it makes them look like they are victims, or victimizes actually the people. Let us remember also that for us who are in the helping profession, maybe having gone through the formal system of schooling and acquisition of knowledge and skills, we stand in a different position somehow. But those traditional systems are still there. So when people talk about pole, sometimes it's because of the way they have been, you know, whether conditioned or the way they have been brought up. That's how people have been supporting each other all through. So I'm reacting that way to just help us to have a wider view, or a wider scope when it comes to issues, when we're dealing with issues with, of our clients. Because for example, the comment our sister made where somebody says, usijali, Mungu atakupatia mtoto mwingine. You know, that's the way people are used to. But of course, we will not say that in therapy sessions, but in the systems within our community, it has brought up that as a way of trying to support ourselves, or support people who are going through that. So we may not dismiss per se what has been, but we are saying there are ways we can improve on it, or help people to have another view or another understanding. One time a client, for example, came to me, and one of the things that he was complaining about is when people are telling her pole because she had lost her husband. So we had to dig deep and find out, why do you find what people say traditional, you know, they find that as an easier way to support you by telling you pole? Why do you find it difficult to accept it? So we went through that, and there were a number of issues that came up from that. But I'm saying traditionally our support systems have already been there. We are not really discarding them per se, but we are saying there is a way we can improve on them, build upon them, and improve on them, so that we are not completely like detached from the society, because we still part and parcel of the society. And there is a way that we can learn from it, and from there we can build on it and find ways of supporting others through the same. So thank you so much. It's a comment I just wanted to say. And lastly, I want to appreciate Madam Esther and Conversations with Esther for this opportunity. It's a wonderful privilege actually to share on this very important topic. And I say thank you, and may God bless you all so much.
Thank you too. It's 8:15 past time, but we have learned a lot. This cannot end, and I think it's a very important topic because it teaches us how to also handle one another. We are learning, unlearning, and relearning. So thank you very much. Thank you all for attending. Have a good evening, and God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so